I got a sandbox that are going to keep the players guessing. Stick around, I'll tell you about it. Hiya folks, Old Man Grognard here, and have I got a game for you. If you like a sandbox, a good sandbox, check this one out. This is Hot Springs Island. And I call it Hot Springs Island because it's part of the Swordfish Islands. It is by swordfishislands.com. It was written by Jacob Hurst, Evan Peterson, Donnie Garcia, and Gabriel Hernandez. Now, the reason I'm introducing it like this, because this is actually two books. There's The Dark of Hot Springs Island, which is for the Game Master, and there is also a field guide to Hot Springs Islands, which you give to your players. The first book, The Dark of Hot Springs Islands, is 200 pages. The second one is 248 pages. This was published in 2017. And this is what the books look like. This is The Dark of Hot Springs Island. If you can see it there, you can see it's a pretty thick book, really beautifully put together, bookmark and everything. And this is the player's field guide to Hot Springs Island. Same quality, really nice. Now, let me tell you about this. The way this works is I read through The Dark of Hot Springs Island, the GM book, but I kind of skimmed this, and I did it for a reason. It wasn't because I was out of time or I was lazy or whatever. I did it for a reason, and the reason being is the way the game is set up. This is supposed to be an island. I want to call it Living Island, but it's not literally living, although some of the plans may think it is. But what I mean is a working island. I mean, things are there that are kind of precarious. I believe the authors call this, right here at the beginning, they call it a sandbox of black powder. And boy, is it a powder keg. Because we've got about 5 factions on this island that are doing things, and some are working at cross purposes, and a lot of it's being kept from other factions. And you throw the PCs in there, things are going to happen. They really are. And I love the way they got this set up because, well, first of all, let me show you a few of the, this is from The Dark of Hot Springs Island. And this is how it's set up. It's set up in expeditions, and it wants you to have encounters. There's about 25 hexes here. It is a mini sandbox. It's a micro campaign type of thing. And what they want you to do is see these tables here on the right? There's a whole page of them later on. Here's the island map from the GM's guide, from the Dark. And it tells you which hexes have what kind of terrain in it. Here's the key to the whole thing. 2 pages of encounter tables. This is just one of the pages. And what it does is basically tells you they're embedded or nested tables. And you use 3d6 to roll them. You find out what's going on, what kind of beast you're dealing with, and is it intelligent or not, and when you come across it, what the beast or whoever is doing. And you go from there. And I think that's kind of neat because you can do it as you go along. Although I will give you a link to a website where you can actually just punch a button which hex you're in and get an encounter, because that's a lot of rolling, unless you want to do it beforehand. You can always do it beforehand. Here's what the hexes look like, the descriptions. Each one is HSO something, 01, 02, and 03, so it gives you 3 different distinctive things in that hex. These are not very big hexes. They're about 25 miles or so, I think. Or I may be projecting on my own, I don't know. But they give you things to do, and you can ignore them, you can deal with them. And the players are there for any different reason. Here's one of the maps they have, the Ash Fireman. I love the way the maps are set up. They give you like on the 2 pages of tables, they give you a mini table for each area. They show you so you can do it right there instead of having to flip back into that map. Once again, if you get the software, it's probably easier. But on the other side of the page here is where you see the numbers on the map. There's the descriptions, and the descriptions are real easy. The words in bold are what's in there. And if you just want to sort of skim over it, okay, this, and this, you can do that. But if you need something like, okay, I lift the rug. It says there's an ornate rug there. I lift the rug. You can read it's in shorthand. I love shorthand. And it also gives you a paragraph below exactly what the room's about or what the area's about or what's going on or whatever. So it's done in a kind of shorthand I really like. Now, as I said, they have factions. They have 5 factions. It is the Fuegonauts, which is an Efreet and his salamander crew, his salamander followers. The Night Acts, which are ogres, which they used to use as slaves, which rebelled, and now they're establishing their own tribe, and they want to get back at the Fuegonauts. The Nereids, who the Fuegonauts have trapped, most of them that are working with the free ones are working with the Night Acts to try and bring them down. Elementals, who have their own little agenda from another dimension, and Lizardmen, who come from another island and are very militaristic, kind of like Lizardmen Klingons. Now, the backstory of some of this is that the elves have ruined the place. The elves are gone. You find artifacts, and there's a whole big city there called Hot Springs City that is totally deserted, and it's in ruins. And you can go there. They can go there and have kind of adventures. The Fuegonauts, they mine red crystal. He has this Efreet, who is a really interesting character, the Efreet leader, because he's kind of like, I don't know, heavy is the head who holds the crown type of thing, because he's kind of sort of backed himself into a corner trying to supply this stuff, and he's being squeezed by his suppliers and this and that and the other thing, and he's got a lot on his mind. They're looking for red crystal. There are other, like the Night Acts, they can shape obsidian, and there's a lot of obsidian on this island, which is nice. There's also a lot of treasure, which a lot of the factions really don't care about. They'd rather mine the stuff and make profit that way. And the Efreet Savartu is trying to cozy up to adventurers too in a certain way, so he can do trade. Then there's this company called the Martel Company, which is off the map somewhere, trying to establish trade with the factions on this island and bringing back as much gold and loot as you can. It's kind of a darker fantasy version of the British East India Company. And the way that works out is really interesting. Here's some more of the book. Now this here is the inside cover, one of the inside cover of the field guide to Hot Springs Island. You notice some of it's filled in. It gives you a beautiful map and breaks down into hexes. But this is for the players to use, and you should encourage them to add to it. Although there's a downside to that, and I'll get to that later. And you notice that there's like diary pages in there, and it's all from the point of view of somebody who went there for the Martel Company to map, or people who did. And there's some of their notes on the elementals they wrote right in the book. And what you do basically is you throw the player characters into this island however you want to do it. They could be hired, they could be shipwrecked, whatever, with this book right here. That book will get them through a lot of things, but it isn't always accurate. It's based on notes that other adventuring parties have taken for the company. And there are other adventuring parties on the island looking for stuff for the Martel Company, or just mercenaries or pirates or whatever. So you got that going for you too. And it just looks like a whole ball of fun. Now, here's what I'm thinking. This is the antidote right here for the GM of the player who likes to memorize a monster manual. Oh, he can't do that. Because there's a lot of monsters on there you've never seen before, and all you do is describe them. That's all you do. You describe them, and they say, "What the heck is that?" And I say, "I don't know. Look in the book. See if you can find it." Because most of them are in there. There's also a chart in the back saying what parts of a critter. No, that's in the GM book. What part of a critter that you can harvest off their body to use for like magic items and stuff like that. They also have a creature useful part and which faction would like to get their hands on it. Beautiful books, by the way, beautiful books. And that leads me to a couple of downsides. Number one, these books are very nice, and I mean very nice. One of the things is like all the rolling, so I'm gonna go gloss over that for a minute. I would advise you, because when you buy these books, they take your email address and they send you the PDFs, or they'll send you your drive-through or wherever to get the PDFs for free, which is a good thing. Because, one, this book is $60. This book is $40. I laid out for that. So, that's $100 right there for a really good campaign world, good campaign area. But I know people are going, So, I'm about to take the PDFs and go to Office Max or Kinko's or wherever and get copies made for the players, because I'm going to plop this down on the, first of all, the main book, I need it to just highlight, stuff for me. And this one is, yeah, you can add to it and write in it, but I don't want you writing in my $40 book. Sorry. It's not like the old days where you buy a $5, $6 module and then you write all over it and highlight it and whatever. Unfortunately, that's a big downside to it. So those of us who cannot afford that kind of thing, I would say get the PDFs, because you can still get the PDFs. The PDFs are about $20 each, or rather, was it $20 each? See, they just went on sale recently. I always try to give you the regular price because I don't want to give you the sale price because they won't always be on sale. But for about $40, you can get both books and print them out. And I would advise that just because books are starting to get more like coffee table books. I don't want to write on them. I know that's what Post-it notes are for, but it's pretty cool that you'd have a journal where actual player characters could, write in it. So I would, print some up and have it print it up and have it sales stage, because they only get one copy. You're not getting a copy for every single player. You get one copy they have to share. And I do that on purpose. That's a good thing. Where can we get this? Okay. You can get this at drive-through. First of all, you can get the print plus PDF from swordfishislands.com. And it'll cost you the places I quoted you. Or you can go to Drive-Thru RPG and RPG Now, and they're $19.95 a piece. So that's $40 there versus $100. Easy math. And, one more drawback. It's system neutral, which means you ain't getting no crunch in it. You ain't getting no stats. And I think the downside of that is they have so many unique monsters and plants, especially monsters on that island, that if you don't want to bother, you can't go to a monster manual and say, okay, this is a troll, there's the stat for the troll. No, you gotta kind of either take your monster manual and match them up, or I will try and put this down here too, down on the bottom, is the fact that you can, there's at least one guy who did OSR stats for the whole book, for the whole Dark of Hot Springs Island. So you can use those. It's all ascending armor class, but that's what most people are using these days. So I'm not going to argue with it. You can go through and easily convert it if you want, but it's 6 pages, and it just gives you the rundown and stats of everything real quick. So you got that. So with that in mind, I'd say go out, get you a copy. This is an any nominee, by the way, as of this recording. It's an any nominee, and I think it's worth it. I think it should win something. So we are talking about Hot Springs Island. There's the books right there. And if you guys got any comments and questions on this, why don't you drop me a line over at oldmangrognard@gmail.com and hit the like button and the bell and all that good stuff down there. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so until I see you next time, bye-bye.